Hello my fellow Dragonborn, and welcome to the final installment of the Quest for Daedric Artifacts. This is part 5. The intent of this series is to help you out in finding and acquiring all of the Daedric Artifacts. If you are spoiler sensitive, I recommend watching the first part of each quest and then going on your own from there, because I don't want to ruin anything for you, I'm just here to help you out. The quests I'll be covering in this episode are Pieces of the Past, The Whispering Door, and Boethia's Calling, for Mehrunes Dagon, Mephala, and Boethia. At the end I will be including the 16th artifact, if you are aware of it or not, and little hints and tips about the Daedric quests that I forgot to mention in previous episodes, so stick around for that. We begin with Pieces of the Past for the Daedric Prince Mehrunes Dagon. He is the Lord of Destruction and Change, and is associated with natural dangers, like fire, floods, and earthquakes. From around level 20 you should be approached by a courier, letting you know that there's a new museum opening up in Dawnstar, a museum based on the Mythic Dawn cult, which played a large role in the Oblivion Crisis. Travel to Dawnstar and follow the lower tier of buildings, to the northeast I believe, and you will find a building with old Mythic Dawn standards, and a fellow named Silas. He will invite you inside to browse the displays, and also has a possible job for you. Now when you ask about the job, Silas will explain about the Oblivion Crisis that happened many years ago, and Mehrunes Razor, a Daedric artifact, was split into 4 pieces and pledged to be kept apart forever. Conveniently, all 4 pieces are in Skyrim, and you can retrieve the other 3 in any order, but the first location listed on the quest is Morthal. Head there and speak to a fellow named Jorgen. During the day he should be nearby the sawmill, and ask him about the hilt of Mehrunes Razor. Now he doesn't really care that he's keeping it, but at any rate you will get a speech check. You can persuade, intimidate, or give him money, and he will give you the key to the chest in his house. And his house is just across the way from the sawmill, so wander inside, and the chest at the foot of the bed, open it up, and you will find the hilt of Mehrunes Razor. The pommel stone of the razor is located at Dead Crone Rock, which is located in the upper section of Hag Rock Redoubt. This is where it gets interesting because you will be fighting Forsworn here. The quest marker will lead you through Hag Rock Redoubt, but all you really have to do is ascend the stairs up to Dead Crone Rock. So really the first part of the dungeon is completely optional. Inside of Dead Crone Rock, the layout is relatively simple. All you really have to do is ascend the steps. About midway you will run into a locked gate, but all you need to do is wander through the dining area after taking care of the Forsworn. Follow a little corridor and you will find a switch at the end with a little window facing towards the gate. This little corridor has a fire pressure plate, so be careful of that if you are flammable, I suppose. Flip that switch and your way is clear. At the very top of this ruin you will find Draskua, the Hagraven in possession of the Pommel Stone. She is protected by soul gem traps, but they're really just meant for a distraction. If you crank up your damage output for this fight and wail on her with everything you got, she'll be done in no time. Loot her, glance at the dragon wall, and take a look inside that chest, and then let's move on. The third location is Cracked Tusk Keep, northwest of Falkreath. This seems to be a splinter group of orc hunters that are none too friendly to outsiders. They are no greater challenge than your average bandit, so make your entrance however you please. Fire works pretty well. For the lockpickers out there, there's a second entrance on the right side of the keep that'll give you a direct route to the Shards of the Razor. If you need a key, the leader of these orcs from the entrance is up and to the left. Grab the key from him and go then down and to the right from the entrance, and you will find a cage. Lockpickers would have bypassed this already, but inside the cage is a button. You press the button to get into the Cracked Tusk vaults. Now there's all kinds of interesting stuff to loot in here. There's also a lot of traps. All the way in the back though, you will find the Shards of Mehrunes Razor, and the final piece to put the whole thing back together. Once you are done here, return to Silas in Dawnstar. He will give you 1,000 gold for each piece. Makes you wonder a little bit how much he really inherited. So he thanks you for retrieving all the pieces, but he also wants to put them all back together, and that requires a not-so-divine intervention by Mehrunes Dagon himself. He points you to the location of Mehrunes Dagon's shrine. It is south-southwest of Dawnstar. Find the Hall of the Vigilant, and there's a path that leads all the way up to the shrine. This is one of those shrines that's also hard to miss. Silas is awaiting your arrival, places the pieces on the altar, and begins to try and commune with Mehrunes Dagon. Well, you wait, and you wait a little bit longer, and you think maybe he's holding his arms wrong? He turns to you and says the line is busy. No, I'm just kidding. He recommends that you try it to see if it works for you. And strangely enough, it works. And it's not because he was doing it wrong, it's because you're the one that collected the pieces. But before it's put back together, you gotta do one more thing.
Dagon does not declare a winner while there is a pawn on the board. Kill Silas. He and his family have served their purpose.
So here's the question of morality. Allow Silas to live. It is kind of fun watching him run away from the Dremora, but in the end you only get a measly 500 more gold. And he's completely useless to you after that too. He won't even be a party member. On the flip side, kill him, which is far from difficult when it comes to all the other things you had to go through to get to this point, and speak again to Mehrunes Dagon.
You have been a worthy tool. Fill the world with destruction in my name.
Mehrunes Dagon gives you Mehrunes Razor. Its damage is on par with Daedric Daggers, and it's enchanted with a 3% chance to instantly kill your target. Best part is it doesn't use charges. You can also get the key to the shrine from the Dremora, which gives you access to lots of wonderful loot. Alright, on to the Whispering Door for Mephala. She is known as the Web Spinner, and gets pleasure from meddling in the affairs of mortals. After hitting level 20, you can start this from the innkeeper, Holda, in Whiterun. Head to the Bannered Mare and talk to her, ask her about the latest gossip, and she tells you that the Jarl has been having trouble with his children, and that one is turning wicked. Also, for this quest to appear to you, you must have the quest Dragon Rising completed. So take a stroll over to the Cloud District and head into Dragon's Reach, and speak to Jarl Balgruuf. Ask him about the problems with his children, and he will speak to you of Nelkir, his youngest son, whom he doesn't feel like he knows anymore. Finding the reason behind it would put his mind at ease. Find Nelkir and speak to him. He's usually wandering around inside Dragon's Reach, and he will start off by saying horrible things about his father, and how much he really does know, like his father still worshipping Talos, details on the war, and so on. You ask him where he heard all these things, and he said from the Whispering Lady, who speaks to him through a door in the basement. So go into the kitchen area and go down to the basement, and listen.
At last. I've been waiting for someone more fit to carry out my will. The child is spirited, but lacks agency.
She introduces herself as Mephala, and she would like you to open this door, tempting you with the fact that there is a powerful artifact behind it. She's not going to tell you what, but curiosity is probably going to get the best of you, and she tells you the Dark Child knows of how to get the door open. I'm sure you know who that is. Go back to Nelkir and ask him about a means to unlocking that door. You find out there's 2 copies of the key, one in the Jarl's possession and one in the Court Wizard's possession. He also tells you that if Farengar were to die, nobody would miss him. An extremely minor choice here. You can either sneak up on Farengar and pickpocket him, or just simply stab him in the back. And as stated, nobody really notices or cares. Now, it's probably not the best idea to kill him if you use him for frequent trading, so I would recommend the pickpocketing method. Either way, now you have the key, so head back down to the basement and unlock that door. You'll find a room with nothing but a table, a sword, and a written warning. Its power is without equal. To kill while your victim smiles at you. Woe to any who choose to take it. I am speaking of the Ebony Blade. The reason for the foreboding introduction, it's that its power increases if you kill an ally. It starts at 10 lifesteal and gains 2 every time you kill an ally, up to a maximum of 30 health per hit. And like Mehrunes Razor, it has no charges. A great one-man army weapon, but not without sacrifice. Alright guys, you got one more artifact to go, and then you will have all 15 if you followed this series to display and use at your leisure. Onward to Boethiah's Calling. Boethia rules over deceit, conspiracy, secret plots of murder, assassination, treason, and unlawful overthrow of authority. So you can deduce that one of these things will be involved in the quest. Now if you'd like the legitimate start of this quest, you'll have to find a book called Boethiah's Proving. Now this book is all over the place in the Dragonborn expansion. However, if you do not have the Dragonborn expansion, you can find it in Septimus Cygnus' outpost, if you're level 30 or higher. This is a place we went to in Discerning the Transmundane for Hermaeus Mora. Just so you know, the book is not required to actually start the quest. All you really need to do is show up at the shrine itself. Boethiah's Shrine is east and up the mountains from the Windhelm Stables. Before you go any further, bring a follower you do not like, as it is a requirement for this quest. I'm going to point out that this is one of the shrines that looks like it actually has a society built around it. The only other one kind of like this would be Malakath's Shrine. Speak to the priestess of Boethiah, who should be pointed out by a quest indicator, and she tells you to appease Boethiah, you have to be open to betrayal. In other words, bring a follower, make them completely defenseless, and stab them with a ceremonial butter knife. Dagger. Go up and find the Pillar of Sacrifice in front of Boethiah's statue. Look at your follower, hold down the action button, and then tell them to interact with the pillar. Say your goodbyes, because now your follower is restrained and helpless. Even though the priestess gave you the Blade of Sacrifice, you don't really have to use it to kill your follower, so you can really just punch him in the face if you really want to, after betraying the follower you never liked. Boethiah uses their corpse as a means of communication, and the first thing you hear her say is a sound of disgust.
Tell me, why have you slain this one who trusted you here upon my shrine?
Sadly, there's no dialogue option to say, I just didn't like him. Regardless of what you say, Boethia starts to address everyone in the camp. She claims to need the most ruthless and cunning warrior at hand. Hopefully that's you. Before your follower's body crumples to the ground one more time, she pretty much says last man standing wins. And go. It's convenient that everybody was following her while she was speaking, so a well-placed firestorm did the trick for me. But they do also attack each other, so if you're a sneaky type, no problem. Boethia takes to form again to your last kill, and tells you that you have proven your usefulness, and you are to be her new champion. But you must first slay her previous champion, who's taken up residence at Knife Point Ridge. I'll let her speak about the reward.
Once his corpse lays cold upon the ground, and all trace of his followers erased, retrieve my ebony mail. A gift fit only for my true champion.
Once the message is received, continue to your next objective. Knife Point Ridge is close to the mountains northwest of Falkreath. Even though Boethia commanded you to kill them stealthily, it is not a requirement. The only objective is to kill them. Kill everyone outside and then head inside Knife Point Mine. If you needed to mine Corundum, this is the perfect place to do it. As mines go, this one has a pretty interesting layout. There are many passages that will meet in the same central room, and there is a shack built inside the central room where the champion waits for you. Since the champion is wearing the ebony mail, its effects will apply to him, so any enemies nearby will be damaged over time. In my encounter, he wasn't that difficult to take down. If you're having trouble, know that there's plenty of spots to hide in Knife Point Mine. Once he's defeated, loot the armor and equip it, and Boethia will speak to you one last time.
You may keep my ebony mail, a token of my appreciation to my new champion. Its gifts will resonate with your talents.
The ebony mail is a lovely piece of armor. It is enchanted with the muffle effect, which allows you to be stealthy in heavy armor. It also does 5 points of poison damage to any opponent within range during combat. As you can see, it makes a really cool effect when you crouch. You've now collected all 15 of the Daedric artifacts. Well done. Your arsenal of unique and exotic Daedric artifacts is complete. But wait, there's more. The 16th artifact I mentioned is not a part of the collection, but worth noting all the same. Those of you Oblivion veterans will remember this one, as you were allowed to keep it once you completed Nocturnal's quest. The artifact I speak of is the Skeleton Key. This is pretty much a lockpick that never breaks, so it would prove invaluable to rogues and thieves. So it would make sense that if you join the Thieves Guild and start doing their questline, you will run into the Skeleton Key. If you have not done this questline and would like to, there's a fellow named Brynjolf in Riften that you must talk to begin the Thieves Guild quest. I do not intend on doing a walkthrough on this unless enough people request it. Alright, now that all 16 are out of the way, I'm going to go over things that I missed in previous quests, a couple interesting tips, and something I must atone for. So I figured the song for my intro and outro was perfect, but in the last 4 videos I had spelled the artist's name wrong. It has been corrected with annotations, and in this video, Brandon Strader, I hope you can forgive me. In episode 1, I covered Hircine's quest, and there's a little exploit you can pull off to get both artifacts. I didn't include it in the actual video, but it was requested. Make it your first choice to help Sinding in killing all the hunters. After he thanks you, go out and talk to Hircine and get the ring. Then go back in and kill Sinding, and you will be allowed to take his hide, getting both the ring and the Savior's hide. Couple other things really quick. If you didn't notice, my mod list is located down below in the description. So if you have any questions about the mods I use, just look in the description. It's got all the links you need. Also, I'm not simply just going to be doing guide videos. I have a couple little fun videos in my channel, one mod showcase, and my next project is planned for something involving kill moves. If you like this video, press the little thumbs up button, which helps keep my confidence up. If you have requests or constructive criticism, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching my video series. This is Cato Genesis. Best of luck on your future quests.